Today, let's get to listen to stories of triumph amidst failures, courage despite fear, strength through weakness, and even the occasional hopeful cheer from personal punny experiences. I am your host, RKaye, and this is the BetterU podcast. What is up, fam? Welcome to another episode of the BetterU podcast. Coach RKaye here, and thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. Now, for the past weeks, we have been answering quite a few questions when it comes to your own fitness journey. When you start off, when you're a newbie, or when you're someone who's jumping back into the bandwagon. And yeah, we have been able to discuss a few questions that are often in mind, and probably something that you typed up on Google or maybe ChatGPT, just to figure things out along the way, right? And today is no different. We will be answering yet another question for y'all, but for this particular episode, or rather episodes, I will actually be splitting up this question, or this common frequently asked question for you guys, because it is something that a lot of people really do get to struggle with. A lot of people tend to doubt, and a lot of people do get confused with. So, of course, let me start off by telling you guys what the question is. And the question that we have for today is, are there actually other ways to measure your progress without having to look at the weighing scale? All right. We have to, of course, be honest with ourselves that many fitness journeys come across as something that is related to weight loss, or having to always, step on the scale and have to take a look at seeing whether you have lost weight after a week or a couple months, right? So it is quite an often fitness goal for many of us, I myself included. Of course, a lot of you guys already know that I have been competing for so many years, all right? Whether it was taekwondo or powerlifting or strongman, one thing was very common with these sports. And with these sports, we had weight categories. So for an athlete, maybe that is something that is a huge priority. And for common fitness people, or people who get into fitness, that's actually one of the top goals that many do get to experience, or many do want to pursue and want to achieve, right? So if you haven't been, or if you are in the opposite spectrum of it, meaning it's hard for you to gain weight, this is also something that is familiar to you, because what happens is we're kind of enslaved by the weighing scale, or looking at the numbers on the scale. So that is something that we will be discussing in the next few episodes for you guys. I am gonna be sharing with you some of the experiences that I've had myself, and possibly some also of the experiences that have happened with people I've worked with, my clients, other gym members that I've gotten to interact with through the years. And yeah, this is something that many people do struggle with. Many people kind of really do measure their success by looking at the numbers in the scale, and if it does not budge, they feel that they're a total failure, when the fact remains that there are just quite a few other physical fitness, ideals that you can hit, or other parts of progress for your fitness that you have already, reached, even without having to lose or gain the weight, right, guys? All right. So, for today's episode, let's stick to that. Let's, expand a little and discuss a little more about what is it that what is the deal with having to always look at the scale, and why is it something that we should not take too much into consideration? Well, depending on your fitness goal or the results that you want. But yeah, there's a lot to really think about when it comes to weight loss. All right, guys. So many of us, when we do get into a fitness journey, as I discussed, we do tend to concentrate a lot on weight loss, and that in itself is something that can be achievable. I'm not saying that weight loss is something that we cannot get to be able to reach in terms of setting up a goal or going through progress. Now, the main issue here, at least based on experience, a lot of people tend to look into weight loss as something with a deadline. All right. If you've been through that type of journey, or if you've experienced it for yourself, a lot of people, when it comes to weight loss, it is something that we put a deadline on, and if for the many experiences that I've had, a lot of people tend to get frustrated when it comes to having to focus on weight loss. Why? Because many people think that weight loss is something achievable, yes, but a lot of people also think that weight loss is something that can happen overnight, all right? Or that can happen in a quick duration. Now, of course, that is a possibility, but we should also always keep in mind that weight loss oftentimes have a number of so many different factors that can affect or that can manipulate the number on the scale. So let's say for me, as an example, all right, I've gone through the experience of having to lose weight for a competition and gain weight as well for a competition. And if you take a look at it, let's say in an experimental type of situation. So when I had to lose weight, all right, let's say my weight for that day, after breakfast or maybe having even a glass of water, I weighed at this is just an example, okay? But this has happened with me quite a few times when I competed. So my competition weight has to be under 63 kilograms for powerlifting. And there have been times when I would go over a few grams, all right? So let's say on competition day, I, step on the scale. The digital scale tells the referee or the weighing official that my weight is at 63.3 kilograms, all right? Weigh-ins for powerlifting during my time would take around an hour and a half. So I would have that hour and a half to find a way or figure out a way to lose that 0.3 grams. And I would oftentimes be successful to reach the 63 kilogram mark or a little lower than that. And what do? I just go to the bathroom and go pee. Or maybe do number 2. All right. So that in itself, as an example, is something that can be a factor for you to manipulate your weight. All right. I am not saying that, that was instant weight loss. All right. To, very common like situations, you wouldn't really say like, oh, well, you just went to the bathroom and did your thing, right? That can cause us to lose the weight, all right? And then in the opposite spectrum, I've also experienced where I had to gain at least 2 kilograms to be in another weight category, all right? And what did I have to do? Okay, so during that hour and a half, I just had to drink a liter to 2 liters of water. Okay, just to make sure that I made weight. And that in itself, guys, is something that you should all think about, all right, when it comes to weight loss or weight gain. Okay, it can be in certain situations manipulated in a way that you reach your specific goal. Now, if you take a look at those situations, is it something that will be long lasting? No, because if I gain that weight, that 1 or 2 kilogram body weight for that specific time that I needed to make weight, if I peed, I would have lost all the weight that I gained, right? And the same goes when I reach the weight that I lost during that time. If I took a sip of my Gatorade or ate while I was doing my warm-ups, what would have happened? If they checked my weight during that time, I would have gained the weight back, right? So those are aspects of looking into weight loss and weight gain that we should try to be more open with, or that we should try to always think about more, all right? Because from the perspective of someone who has gained and lost weight so many different times in my own fitness journey, I should tell you guys that having that pressure within yourself to have to lose or to gain that weight, it is something that really kind of mentally makes you struggle, okay? Also the fact that many of our goals that we have in mind oftentimes are also intertwined with what we see others are able to achieve. All right, so that is also why I mentioned that term, that we always seem to look into weight loss as something that has a deadline. All right, we seem to always want weight loss to come in, or weight gain to come in, as something that is abrupt, something that is spectacularly, something that people will look at or get to observe. And it's something that has to be such a spectacle that many of us seem to think that if we lose the weight as quickly as we can, many people will praise us because of it. I know it's a praiseworthy thing to achieve. I myself have also experienced that. But the thing and the fact of the matter here is that we should always look into our health and fitness, not as something that is instantaneous or something that is an immediate effect of what we do. We should always look into and consider, how long do we want to be doing this? Because oftentimes what happens is, the quicker route that we take to getting to the goal that we want, oftentimes what happens, our body gets into that mode where we stress it out too much, we overwork ourselves, we overtrain. What happens? We get drained so quickly, and oftentimes, instead of going into our fitness journey as something that we want to do for a longer duration, or as much as we can until we get older, right? What happens is, it becomes such, an excruciating and sometimes even a traumatic experience that we don't want to do it again, okay? Instead of us focusing on other important issues at hand, maybe our health, not just physically, but also mentally, instead of focusing on those specific aspects of ourselves, what happens is we focus a whole lot on the number on the scale, and it just pressures us so much that we don't want to do anything anymore, right? We just throw in the towel and just say, forget about it, because I don't want to do this again. Okay, I don't want to experience this again. And so, yeah, these are some of the things that we do really need to consider when we look at a goal that is set up for weight loss or weight gain. Okay, so there are a number of different factors that, for the lack of term, is unreliable when it comes to weight loss and weight gain, or basically looking at or considering the weighing scale as the end all and be all of your fitness journey. Okay, so just keep in mind that, having this as your goal is something that you can probably start off, make it something that will keep you going, sure. But at the end of the day, don't feel too stressed about it. Don't feel that you failed just because the number on the scale did not move, okay? Because there are numerous things that you can look into instead of just the number on the scale that will really help you to push yourself to the limit, make you really want to achieve your fitness and your health goals a lot more than just the number on the scale. All right, guys. So that's pretty much like the tip of the iceberg for us with regard to this frequently asked question. All right, so I'm gonna just pause right there, because in the next episodes that we'll have, I will be telling you what is it, or what would be other alternative ways to look into instead of just the number on the scale, because there are other things that you can look up that will tell you that progress is here, not just through the number and the scale. All right, guys. So I hope that today's episode, you kind of had a little bit of a little light bulb in your head to tell you that weight loss or weight gain, or basically your weight changing, is not the only thing that should keep you pursuing your fitness and health goals. All right, guys. So that is it for today. Thank you again for joining me in today's episode, guys. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I hope that after this episode you get to click on that subscribe button, and so that you can get to be notified if I have other episodes along the way that comes up. And if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. You can leave those in the comment section below. You never know, I may be using some of your questions in the next episodes of the podcast. All right, guys. And if you happen to feel that this episode was something that enlightened you or that helped you out quite a little bit, go ahead and click that like button, or even share it with someone who you know may need today's episode. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me in today's podcast episode. Thank you again. And as always, Coach RKaye here, reminding you to never give up on your movement journey, because it's never too late to move. Bye-bye, guys. See you again.